The Tubolito, the brightest, the latest, the coolest, the priciest, and the toughest tube on the market. It's got to be the best, right? Well, maybe not. This has got to be one of the most polarized reviewed products I have seen in the market for a long time. There's multiple 1-star reviews and there's multiple 5-star reviews. What could be going so wrong with this product? Today, we take this bright orange tube and break it down to see, is it a wise investment? Or are you simply investing in some bright orange toilet paper? Let's dive right into it and cue the intro.
He's the Brompton Guy!
Welcome back to the Brompton Guy. I'm going to assume you've clicked this video today because you're either interested in purchasing Tubolitos, have questions around the reliability of the Tubolitos, or you're simply amazing and support the channel that I have running here. Either way, I hope to get the information you want in this video to yourselves over the next couple of minutes here. Firstly, let's start for the reason why I'm purchasing these Tubolitos for my Brompton. As we all know, I have a hilly sportive coming up in July where I'll take on the Dragon Ride local to South Wales again. This year I'll be doing the tougher distance, which includes even harder climbs, and I'm going to need every little bit of advantage I can get to take my 4-speed P-line up that ride. One of the weight savers that obviously jump out to me is the weight saved from the Tubolito itself. A Tubolito weighs in at around 39 grams, give or take, and my standard Brompton in a tube is weighing around 95 to 100 grams per tube. Now bear in mind, I'm going to need 3 tubes in the ride, I'm going to need 2 on the bike and 1 spare, so the Tubolitos take me to just shy of 120 grams, and the inner tubes in the Brompton that are standard take me close to 300 grams. You're talking about almost a third weight saving just on tubes alone. It has to be worth the investment, right? Well, I think so, until I started looking at some of the reviews these tubes were getting. Now, the one thing that I can't afford on a ride like that is for something not to be reliable. So, will the reliability be an issue? Or is it other factors that are causing these tubes to fail, hence giving them the poor reviews? Now, when researching these myself, there are so many contrasting opinions and reviews out there already, and everyone is going to have a different experience, so I feel it's only fair that I buy them myself and get the experience firsthand to give you the honest feedback. Now, some of the issues that have been highlighted with them is they are advertised as being 2 times stronger than your standard inner tube. And while probably in testing environments that is obviously correct because they wouldn't put a statement on it like it if it wasn't, real world testing is always that slight bit different. Even when I look at rope tests from when I'm looking at a climbing point of view, a rope wears significantly harder when they throw the factors of the outdoors into it, like the grit and the gravel. And the same could be said for the inner tube itself. Now, if you're rolling this inner tube on absolutely pristine tarmac, you're probably going to be fine. But when you add variables of wet roads, gravel roads, mud and dirt, they don't test this in the strength test, and if any of that gets into the tube, rubs on the tube and breaks down the actual outer tyre, this is all variables that standard testing don't control. So while I do understand that it is 2 times stronger, I wouldn't henchman bet that this is any stronger than a standard tube itself. And it also comes with the disadvantage that it isn't as repairable on the side of the road as what a standard tube is. So you would want to cycle with the spare inner tube itself. From reading on the website, they recommend that when you put their specific patch on it, not just a standard patch that you'd use on a standard inner tube, that you should let the glue set for at least 5 hours. So that takes any roadside repair out the equation and leaves you carrying the spare inner tube. Now personally for myself, when I'm doing a big event, I will always take the spare inner tube anyway, so it doesn't affect me, but it is a factor to consider if you are looking at these tubes. Now, any puncture or flat is 100% different. There is no same variable, and you can get the luck of the draw or the non-luck of the draw. But I have seen really competent people doing reviews on these that have stated they only got around 60k from the inner tube itself. Now that's not reliable at all in my opinion. I have already done over 200 miles on my Brompton and got nothing apart from having to reinflate the pressure on my tyre. So I would say if you're getting 60k, it's baby steps and not an endurance in a tube. Now that is one person's experience, and as I said, I feel it's really important for myself to track this and feed it back to see, can the inner tubes that I'm fitting today last all the way up to my event of the Dragon in July. I think for me, I have all the advantages in my favour, and that's purely because most of my cycling will revolve around tarmac. I'm not taking it off-road, I'm not doing anything crazy with it. I commute it to work and I do similar training loops where the roads don't get crazy in any way. So I think for me, I have no doubt these will make it to the event, but it does have me questioning that, are these going to be better to put on my bike purely for events where I know all the controlled factors of the road, the area, the conditions? Possibly. Could wearing these down over time affect the quality they maybe are for the event? I don't really know, and it's not something I would ever think about, but now because I've seen how polarised the reviews are, it is making me think that a little bit more about, can I trust them? Now I'm going to have to touch on the subject because I will be slated in the comments if I don't. One of the biggest downsides to this tube is purely the price of it, coming in at a staggering £28 per tube compared to the £6 for a standard tube. These tubes will definitely save you weight on the bike, and anything that saves you weight on the bike, but it will also save weight on your wallet. You'll certainly be carrying a less heavy wallet if you invest in these tubes. But for instance, when I upgraded to my titanium seat post, I saved around 300 grams at the cost of around £110, and I'm going to save maybe about 120 to 150 grams on these. So from an actual value to grammage from weight cutting, it's not crazy bad, but you add the non-reliable factor in, then it maybe gets a little bit crazy bad, but time will tell. I want to address some of the things that I've already considered with the tubes, bearing in mind I'm being overcritical because of the reviews they've had on them. I purchased my free tubes from Amazon and they arrived promptly. Now, the box design was different from what actually arrived, so I can only assume, I don't know across all line, but certainly in the folding line, that the actual inner tube has been revised over time. So the box itself now comes like this, just clean cardboard, says Tubolitos on it, and fairly nice packaging if you look all around, probably saves a lot of space on a shelf. But the ones advertised online came in a black packaging on a hook. Now when I looked on the Tubolito website, I couldn't see anything stating that the tube had been revised, but when digging a little bit deeper, you can obviously see over time they have refined the design. For instance, on Amazon there was reviews pointing out that there'd be a lot of leakage around the valve itself. Now the valve used to be two-way constructed, so it'd actually be joint there and air would come out this part of the valve. The valve itself also wasn't fully bright orange at the time. So that makes me think that that's already been a known fault that they've taken into account and addressed on the new tube itself. Now one of the things that did concern me when I was unboxing this here, so if we take it out of the packaging here for you, it seems to come pretty well nice. It's held in by a little bit there, looks all good, but if I take this out, let me just get rid of this here. What I do notice is because it sits like that, there's quite a lot of strain already around the valve because it's sitting in this compressed shape. And you'll see there, if that sits over a long time, I could see how that eats away at it, and even when you take it out, the actual material itself is pretty indented from the compression of it being in there. And I did actually dig deep, and I had seen someone saying that they came and they were flat straight away because this bit itself, bear in mind this was in a 29er, was actually already broken. So I can definitely see that concern. Here we have the blown up Tubolito, which I think speaks volume about the Tubolito itself. It clearly gives you a warning sign right out the packet. Now this is held air for 7 days in this exact same shape, but it highlights the points to me. You can see it doesn't naturally go round. It doesn't ever want to go round like a standard tube. It wants to find its edges and protrude out. So my question straight away is, once I put this in the tyre, yes, it's going to shape round the tyre. I can't fully see what it looks like in it, but I can see why it would maybe be susceptible to pinch flats, because if this doesn't want to go round in a perfect tyre shape, or it slightly deflates over time, I could see how pinch flats around these bits would be significantly more likely than on the rubber tube itself. Now, I can't guarantee that, but the fact I can already see areas of weakness forming here, in terms of like, that's obviously going to be easier to puncture. I can see that if you run these slightly flat, the potential issue you have with the Brompton on it. Again, only an assumption, but I've never felt that way about a normal inner tube before myself. So there we've talked over a couple of points about the Tubolitos. The stuff I've brought to you here is stuff I have considered and thought about before I even purchased them, but I want to relay it back to you on the video. I can't give you a solid conclusion of these are absolutely amazing and you should do it. I think they are always going to be down to individuals and your circumstance of riding, but I am hoping that these last me all the way to the dragon ride, and hopefully during the dragon ride I can then give you an update on the Tubolito itself and the performance I've had. If it does do anything exceptional, then I'll obviously make a follow-up video from that, but I'm not expecting really much different performance on the bike. I'm just looking for that weight saving when I hit the double digits. So a couple of things to take, which you probably already know coming into this video, is they're supposed to be twice as strong as a normal inner tube. I would certainly take that with a pinch of salt. They are definitely going to hit your wallet, but they are also going to save you weight because they hit your wallet. And they come in a super bright colour, which I think is quite nice, but might not be for everyone. I'm sure you could maybe put tape around the valve, but why spend £28 on something that you don't like the cosmetic look of there? And maybe it would be nice if they had a different colour choice, but hey, it makes a brand stand out. And other than that, I look forward to testing them. And I do thank you for sticking around like videos like this. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I generally think if I feel this information is somewhat interesting, then hopefully some of my viewers might find it there also. As always, I've been the Brompton Guy. Thank you so much for your continued support and all the support I've had. I am currently trying to stick to release a community page every Friday for a poll, and I'd like to thank the people that took part in the poll for this Tubolito video here. So have a good night, enjoy yourself, and happy riding.
He's the Brompton